Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sensory Fitness. We are so happy you could join us for week 7. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Hannah.
I'm Min.
And we are occupational therapy interns at HIR Wellness from Mount Mary University. And you may not know what occupational therapy is and how sensory fitness can go hand in hand. Well, OTs help people in any skill or activity that occupies their time, and that's everything that we do. And it takes a whole body approach, to which is why we start with sensory fitness. We know that COVID has caused some major disruptions in everyone's life, and that's kind of why we are here presenting to you today this way instead of at HIR Wellness. We're staying safe, staying healthy, and that's why it's going to look a little different than it has in the past weeks, but we're still excited to be here with you guys. So thank you for joining us. But so the kids' lives have been impacted as well from all this stuff going on. Everyone's life has changed. We're not able to do the things that we used to be able to do. Work and school are happening way differently than they have been before. We're not able to socialize like we used to. And you really have to think and plan hard to have a flow. And sometimes I'm sure there's more opportunities for meltdowns and feelings out of sort. So when we see some tantrums, these are not misbehaviors. They are the outward expression of what is happening inside in your child's inner distress. Sensory fitness can help you manage these feelings out of sorts by helping us to regulate our brains, regain focus, alertness, and connection to be in that just right and ready to respond place.
That's right, Sarah. So last week we talked about different play and movement activities that cross the midline and how that can be beneficial in growing the brain and getting your children ready to read and write and solve problems and remember complicated directions. We also discussed how crossing the midline means doing activities from one side of your body and going the opposite direction. These movements allow for sensory integration to occur between the left and the right sides of the brain, which then help with your child's learning at home or at school.
So we want to know how that went, so please leave us a comment below. What was your experience like last week? Were you able to make some of these tools or try out any of these different activities? Hannah and Sarah, have you been able to use any of these tools from last week? What were your experiences?
Yeah, Min. So thanks for asking my experience. I was able to actually do the racetrack that you demonstrated for us in last week's sensory fitness. And I just used the painter's tape on my kitchen floor, and then we had one of those little Matchbox race cars, and that helped to cross the midline.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, I was able to do the ball of Essex. I really love that activity. It's super fun and relaxing to me. And crossing the midline, that's a great activity to cross the midline. So.
For me, I enjoyed the one-handed pirate to clean the floor, and that kind of helped to switch my gears from slow to fast.
Nice.
And help me regulate.
Cool. So today's session, we are going to focus on how reflexes from when we were infants become part of our everyday movements, which can help with skills such as balance, posture, strength, speech, big and small movement skills that we have, emotional skills, and learning. By the end of our first year, these reflexes I'm talking about they should fade into the background, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way. And when they don't fade into the background and they don't become part of our natural and purposeful movements, we may have some difficulties with activities that we do throughout the day. So it can cause some learning and developmental hurdles. It can also cause some emotional and physical challenges. So making sure that these reflexes have faded into the background and doing activities to help them fade into the background if they haven't already can help with the different gears that we're into.
Yes, so today's session, we are going to go over 3 different reflexes that may not have fully integrated, meaning they are not noticeable. They are still noticeable and dominant. We'll provide you with some strategies to help with school-related obstacles that may be present as a result. It's important to remember that these reflexes have not faded into the background. So they can also affect how your child's engine is running. When we're not able to detect sensation around us, it can make us feel out of sorts, which is why it'll affect our engine and how it's run. And that's why it's important to be a sensory detective, to be able to understand how different, to understand the different gears and how to manage that.
Awesome, thanks, Min. So first, before we get into our reflexes for today, let's just review some information on high and low gears. So sometimes our engines are running too high, which may look like you have tense posture, your child may be cranky, fidgeting, have poor self-control, and they may be angry, overly excited, or even fearful. If their engine is running too low, it may look like they're sad or discouraged, they have a slouchy posture, be lethargic, have a lack of interest in an activity, or they may even hide or fade into the background. Let's remember that not only do our children switch into all of these gears, we as regulated adults move through these different gears too, but we do activities without really thinking about it. And just to get us back to that right gear, keep in mind that we do travel through these different gears all day long, and that's okay. And sometimes we do tend to stay in just one gear, and that's okay too. We do want to provide you with some strategies for when the gear you are in isn't supporting the activity at hand. With that being said, Min and Sarah, how did you bring your engine up last week or this week?
For me, I actually went for a run just to bring my engine up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I listened to some music that was fast-paced that kind of helped me bring my engine up. I did that before I had to do some work, so that was pretty helpful for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I took a shower in the morning before I had to do a whole bunch of stuff, and that helped me to relax and just get in that right gear. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Hannah. So we'll start with PACE. It's a simple regulation strategy. So it uses movement to wake up the brain and bring it to the just right gear. So if you haven't already, go ahead and grab some water. And we'll start from a seated position. And we're just going to touch our toes and come back up slowly. Now take a note of how you felt as you did that, and we'll come back to that. Next, we'll start PACE, and we'll have a few sips of water. And what this does is it's going to increase the electricity in our body. Next, we'll do what's called brain buttons, and we'll start with one hand to the chest, the other to your belly, and we're just going to close our eyes and rest there. Okay, next we are going to take our left hand to our right knee and our right hand to our left knee. And we're just going to tap and alternate as we go. All right, next we're going to cross our ankles, bring your arms out to the front, the backs of your hand touching. Next, we're going to clasp our fingers, bring it towards your chest, and close your eyes. Okay, now we're going to uncross our arms and legs. We're going to bring our fingertips together, and that concludes our PACE. Now we're going to touch our toes again and come back up. And please let us know if you notice anything different. Sarah and Hannah, how was that for you? Did it change anything? Did you notice anything different?
Yeah, I feel very calm and my body's warmed up actually, so I feel good.
Yeah, I feel pretty good too. I know I was a little in high gear having to present our sensory fitness this way today, but doing PACE really helped me bring it back down to a lower gear. So thank you for that, Min. Thank you.
Good, awesome. So in just that short time, we have caused the brain to be in a better regulated state. So this means there's more opportunities for learning and for directing attention.
So we are now going to get into 3 different reflexes that may or may not have faded into the background for you or your child. Today, we just want to provide you with a little introduction on how some reflexes, if they don't fade into the background, can have an impact on reading, math, fine motor skills, visual skills, big motor skills, social skills, as well as how your child's engine is running. If you suspect you or your child has reflex integration concerns, please reach out to our occupational therapist at HIR Wellness Institute, the occupational therapist at your child's school, any other occupational therapist you may know, or you can email us 3 below. We will drop our emails for you in the comments so that you can have that information. And we also have some awesome links that are going to be in the comments that can be helpful when talking about reflex integration. So be sure to check those out too.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm going to start us off talking about the grasp reflex. It's a lot of information, so please, like Sarah said, if something doesn't make sense or you need some more support relatives, please just reach out to us. We will definitely be happy to re-explain things to you, go through this again, anything that you need, okay? So I was in charge of doing the grasp reflex, and the grasp reflex is present around the 3rd month of pregnancy. So you're still in your mom's tummy when this is starting to develop, or is developed, should be developed. From birth through the first 6 months of life, this reflex can be tested. It tends to disappear and become more of a natural controlled response within those first 6 months of life. In other words, the baby at this point learns to let go of the clenched fist or an object in their hand and assume more of an open hand position. If this reflex has not become a part of natural movement or something that you can control, you may notice traces of this presented in other ways as an adult or in a child. The thumb and the fingers cannot move separately, and instead they all move together. Another trace may be noticing a tight or an awkward grip on a pencil or a pen, difficulties with fine motor skills, tight or awkward gripping. Letting up on your grip is a little bit challenging. Challenges with handwriting and tension in your hands, wrists, arms, shoulders can be possible. The way that we're going to test this reflex is by simply putting pressure into the palm of the hand with a finger, or you can use a toy as well. The response that should be seen is that the fingers clench into a fist. I'm pushing into my hand, and my fingers don't make that fist, so my reflex has integrated. But for some, you may notice your fingers clasping down, and that's okay. That's okay. That's why we're here, and we're going to provide you with some activities to help get that integrated. So I'm going to show you another demonstration of my daughter. She's 2.5 months old, so this is a good reflex to test, and hopefully you'll be able to see it through these different screens here. So let me get that set up for you guys. Okay. Oh, technology here, sorry. Okay. Bear with me here, sorry. Just doesn't want to play. Okay, here we go.
Palmar grasp reflex.
Okay.
So I'm going to put pressure in the palm of her hands. And she is going to grip down. No, it's okay. It's okay. Ready? We're going to try again. Put pressure. Pressure. And you squeeze Mama's fingers. Squeeze Mama's fingers. Yep, see? See the grip around my fingers? Around my thumbs? Yes, that's the palmar grasp reflex.
All right, thank you for bearing with me there. So again, my daughter's 2.5 months old, and you can see this grasp reflex is still present because she has a strong grip on my fingers, and she won't let go. And the letting go part it's key here. So if by the time she's 6 months old and she still can't let go, then I may seek an occupational therapist or another professional to help, just to have that movement be a little bit more natural, so she won't have as many difficulties in her everyday life. So now I do have some activities that we can try to help guide these problems if you do notice the traces. So if you're having difficulties handwriting, if there's tension in your hands, if you've got that really tight grip, or it's a little awkward, you think, hopefully these activities will be a little bit helpful for you. So let's see, the first one that I have, we call it the pencil sharpener. So you're going to start with your hand like this, and then you're going to take your pointer finger and you're just going to tuck it right under those fingers. And then you're going to squeeze, and you can turn your finger underneath those clenched fingers there and open and sharpen your pencil. Sharpen your pencil. So it's very simple. I know if you're in that low gear, you can sharpen your pencil very fast. And then if you're in that high gear, try to sharpen your pencil slow. All right, that's the first one. The second one that I have is just with some putty or slime or Play-Doh. I have some green putty here. Like I said, you can go ahead and just grab whatever you've got at home, and you're just gonna do simple squeezes. Just squeezing it. Again, if you're in low gear, try to squeeze pretty fast. If you're in that high gear, try to squeeze slow. All right, and then my last exercise that I have for you guys is, again, we're just going to use our own bodies here. So you're going to put your hand flat, kind of pretend like you're a little server. All right, and take your other hand, and you're just going to kind of make a wall. Put it in the same place as you would for the pencil sharpener exercise, but just make it a wall. And you're going to bend your fingertips to the top. And you can also move the wall a little bit back towards your wrist, so you kind of have more range to go. So you're really focusing on bringing your fingers down to your palm, but this is just a good visual to kind of get you started and moving those fingers, okay? And that is all the activities that I have for the grasp reflex.
Thank you, Hannah. I really loved the video of your daughter. That was so sweet. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so next I'm going to talk to you about the asymmetrical tonic neck reflex, also known as ATNR. So you might be wondering, what is ATNR? It's a reflex that's present from birth, and it'll look like basically you're shooting an arrow. So you've got one arm extended, so both your one side of the leg and arm is straightened out, and the other arm and leg on the opposite side is bent. And so this reflex is all about eye-hand awareness and coordination. So from about 6 months, your child should have moved on from ATNR, meaning that it's unnoticeable. But you might be wondering, how can you tell if your child has lingering ATNR? Your child may still have lingering ATNR if you notice your child has a hard time reading or writing in school. But there are other things to check for, such as a tilted posture, poor vision, difficulty gripping the pencil, and other academic related challenges like writing or math. And there are also some difficulties that would be present, such as doing both tasks with doing two hands at the same time. So as you can see, this would greatly impact their school and daily life. One way to test for this is to have your child stand in front of you with your arms straight out in the front, and then have them just keep it there and move their head side to side. So the goal is that they should be able to move their head only without bending their elbows or shoulders in the direction of the head. So how do we fix this? There are simple activities that you can do. First is I just want to reintroduce some of the activities that we did last week from crossing the midline. So this means that we go from one side of the body to the opposite side. And all those activities are beneficial to getting the ATNR to fade into the background. For instance, making a racing track that I think Hannah discussed earlier. We can also do patty cake, or ball of Essex is also a good one to do. But I do have some new activities to introduce to you today. One is called a belly crawl. And you can do this with a stuffed animal on the back so that it just makes it more interesting and fun. And I have a short demonstration that I want to share with you today. Okay, and so this is called the belly crawl. As you can see, she's on her belly using all of her limbs, her arms, her legs, even her toes and her fingers to push off and climb. And this is going to reinforce using both sides of the limbs purposefully. So using both sides of the body is an important part of getting this reflex to blend into the background. Okay, the next one I want to show you is it's called crawling on the hands and knees while turning your head left and right. So you can have your child hold a toy tucked below your chin and your chest so that it looks like that, which he's going to demonstrate for us. And it's going to be held there in one direction, and he's just going to crawl from one side to the other. And he's going to drop it and head back over, pick up another toy, and this time go in the opposite direction and crawl to the other side. So there are other ways to do that, that activity that we just saw, and that's to hold a toy or a balloon from one side and just bring it to the other while you're crawling. So having your child do these exercises every day for a few minutes should help with ATNR reflex to kind of fade into the background.
Cool. Thank you, Min. I love the activity of crawling with something under your chin. I could see how that could be a really fun game or a fun way to transport objects from one place to another. That'd be super fun. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to go into the spinal Gallant reflex. So the spinal Gallant reflex fades into the background at about 2 months of age. When testing for this reflex, you're going to have your child sit up nice and tall, sit comfortably, or they can stand if they would be more comfortable that way. Or they can be on all fours, like their favorite animal, maybe like a bear or a cheetah. So they can be in that position as well. And so to demonstrate that, I have a little friend here today with me, and he is going to be my little demonstrator, okay? So this is the back of your child. You're going to find their spine, and you're just going to move over about 1 inch from that spine, and you're going to run your fingernail down gently down their back, okay? And when you're doing that, you're going to see if this reflex is not faded into the background, you're going to see a little curvature to that side. So they're going to curve to the side that you're using your fingernail on. They'll curve, they'll make a little C with their body. You can test it on both sides. They'll do a little curve and a little curve when you're doing it. Okay. So it's important that this reflex fades into the background. If this reflex does not fade into the background, your child may have difficulties with potty training, bedwetting. They may have difficulties with sitting still. They may be extra sensitive to touches on the back or their waist area. They could have poor coordination and possibly unbalanced walking. So we know that this reflexes that don't fade into the background can have an impact on your child's ability to participate fully in school and play and any other activity that they do throughout the day. So we want to provide you with some things you can try at home if you are suspecting that this reflex is being a concern. So I'm gonna give you a couple activities. Last week we talked about hot potato back to back, right? So I'm gonna use my little guy here again, and we're gonna sit back to back, nice and tall. Kind of see him. Yep, we're sitting there back to back, and you're gonna take your hot potato and you're gonna twist and give him the hot potato. He's gonna twist and give me the hot potato, and you're just gonna go back and forth, twisting side to side. You could check out next week's video, and it might be a little better visual. I'm sorry, he's a little small, but it's what we're working with today. Okay, so that one, wiggling your backs together, would be a good way to help integrate that reflex. Any sensation or any touching of this lower back and waist area is really going to help with that. You can even put a song on and you can wiggle your backs together too. That's a good way if you want to have fun. Maybe if you're there feeling a little sleepy and in low gear, you can put a fun song on and wiggle as fast as you can. What else do we have? You could do a snow angel activity. So you can set out a bunch of stuffed animals, maybe rolled up socks. You can put a fluffy blanket on the ground, have them lay there and do snow angels with their arms and legs. So snow angels. Mm-hmm. And that would be a good way to also provide that input on this back area and waist area here and just the whole back side. And that's going to help integrate this reflex as well. And then the last activity you can try could be log rolls. So you lay flat on your back and you have your arms up in the air and you roll, maybe to one wall, and then you roll back. You could do that. You can also do the belly crawls that Min suggested. That's a good one too. That's a good way to get the back muscles working and getting sensations back there. You can also lay on your tummy and do caterpillar walk. So you're scrunching up and walking forward. You could do that as well. All those ways of movement can be part of an obstacle course. Maybe just like the end, you can log roll to the finish line, or log roll to the next part of the obstacle course or the next activity. So there's a bunch of different things that we can do to help with integrating these reflexes, because we want to be able to participate fully in every activity that we do and have fun while doing it.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Those are actually really good exercises. And with the winter coming up, I feel like the snowman is a great activity that can be used. So definitely good ones. Okay, so we shared a lot of information today, and we hope that you found some of these activities that we provided to be helpful. These reflexes do fade and become unnoticeable, but sometimes we may need a little help in order for that to happen. So that's why we're introducing you to these activities, and that would be a good start. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us through email or ask us questions. We as occupational therapy interns are here to help you to understand this information. So feel free to ask us any questions. And again, these strategies are to help your child participate in everything they do fully. So
thank you, Min. So you have to be a sensory detective to notice what sort of activities help you and your child and what concerns you may have. Look for any changes in your child, like if these concerns diminish or they get less prevalent. Today, we just want to provide you with an introduction to how some of these reflex, if they do not fade into the background, and how we can impact those to help you later on with reading and math and fine motor skills, visual skills, motor skills, and social skills. If you suspect you or your child has reflex integration concerns, you can try these activities that we provided, or you can reach out to an occupational therapist that you know, occupational therapist at HIR Wellness, or like Min said, you can reach out to us too via our emails.
So we are looking forward to next week to learn about what you discovered. Remember that all the high engine and low engine states in your family right now can be shifted back to just right, and we have the ability to help our reflexes do what they should and become purposeful movements. Sensory Fitness is here to offer a helping hand for you and your child to learn strategies and adapt in a sensory-rich world. You can join us again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. to learn more tips and tricks. We'll see you guys then. Bye.
Bye, relatives.